Welcome back to the Accessible Art History YouTube channel. Today I'm starting a new series. Over the last 5 years, I've covered a lot of art. So I started thinking about what I would deem the best or most important in the historical canon. Now, of course, this is just my opinion, and there are far more than 100 works of art that define the history of human creation. But I'm a sucker for a countdown list, so I figured, why not give it a go? My goal for this series is to not only show how art history developed, but all of the amazing creations from cultures around the world and throughout history. So to see which works I've put in spots 100 through 96, keep on watching. Before I dive into work number 100, I do want to state for the record that it's well known that I'm not a fan of Jackson Pollock. I think his works are basic at best, and he was not a good person, but I can appreciate the impact his paintings had on the abstract movement, and that's why I put him at number 100. Autumn Rhythm number 30 was painted by Pollock in 1950, and it's a quintessential example of abstract expressionism and one of his most celebrated works. This large-scale painting, measuring at 8 feet 9 inches by 17 feet 3 inches, or 266.7 by 525.8 centimeters, is housed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. It stands as a powerful representation of his innovative approach to art and Pollock's departure from traditional painting techniques. Pollock's method is often referred to as drip painting, which involved laying a canvas on the ground and pouring or splattering paint directly onto it. He used sticks, brushes, or even his hands to manipulate the paint, allowing gravity and motion to play a significant role in the final outcome. This approach was more about spontaneity versus a careful design. It allowed Pollock to convey more abstract, hence the name of the movement, ideas like emotions, chaos, and flow. Pollock's work emerged during a time of significant social and cultural upheaval in the post-World War II era. Abstract expressionism sought to express the subconscious and existential concerns of the human condition. Autumn Rhythm embodies these ideas, which offers a glimpse into the artist's psyche and the broader anxieties of his time. Through his painting style, Pollock was able to capture the physicality and emotional depth it requires to process emotions onto canvas. For some, it's a landmark of modern art, and I have to admit, a marker of the art historical canon. The next work of this countdown is the Stele of Hammurabi, a monumental stone slab created around 4,000 years ago. This impressive artifact not only showcases a relief depicting a king and a god, but also contains the longest surviving inscribed text from this era. The inscription lists nearly 300 laws from ancient Babylon. For art historians, the stele is a treasure trove, offering insights into both artistic traditions of the ancient Near East and the political and legal systems of the time. King Hammurabi, the key figure behind this famous artifact, ruled Babylon from 1792 to 1750 BCE. Aside from his famous code, Hammurabi is renowned for his military conquest, which included the subjugation of Assyria under a Babylonian rule, which brought most of Mesopotamia under his direct control. Due to his political and military power, Hammurabi was deified during his own lifetime, and worship continued after his death. His popularity was so immense that records show a significant increase in babies named after him posthumously. The Stele of Hammurabi is composed of 44 columns of text written in Akkadian, using cuneiform script, the earliest form of writing which is characterized by wedge-shaped characters. This language was widely understood and across Hammurabi's empire, ensuring the laws were accessible to all. Hammurabi believed that widespread access to these laws would help maintain order throughout his kingdom. The text is organized into 3 main sections. The first describes the relief image at the top of the stele, the second and largest part lists the laws themselves, and the final section praises Hammurabi and promises that his reign will be remembered for generations. The law code is undoubtedly the most critical aspect of the stele. Unlike modern laws, these were framed as legal precedents, an action described followed by its corresponding consequence. The majority of the laws address the 2 pillars of ancient Near Eastern society, agriculture and family. These laws also include some of the earliest instances of the concept of innocent until proven guilty and the use of evidence to support legal decisions. However, it's important to note that the Code of Hammurabi was not entirely fair. While efforts were made to make the laws accessible to everyone, their application varied based on social class. Babylonian society had 3 main classes: slaves, freedmen, and property owners, excluding nobles and priests. The same crime led to vastly different punishments depending on the perpetrator's social status. For example, a slave caught stealing might have their hand cut off, while a wealthier individual might only pay a fine. Despite its attempts at fairness, the code had clear biases. Apart from the text, the stele also features a famous carving. It depicts 2 figures facing each other, the god Shamash, which is associated with the sun and justice, and King Hammurabi himself. Shamash, recognized by his horned crown and seated position on the throne, hands a staff and ring, which are traditional symbols of authority, to Hammurabi. He wears the headpiece and robes of a Babylonian king. The scene serves as propaganda, reinforcing the idea that Hammurabi's rules and laws were divinely sanctioned. The figures are depicted at nearly the same height, which in ancient art signifies their equal importance. This portrayal underscores the divine endorsement of Hammurabi's rule while maintaining the clear distinction between god and king. The Stele of Hammurabi is a vital piece for both art historians and archaeologists. Its relief carving and extensive law code offer invaluable insights to the past and how ancient societies operated. The law inscribed on the stele influenced the development of subsequent cultures, and Hammurabi remains a significant figure in history. In fact, his legacy endures in the modern era, as he is recognized as one of history's earliest lawmakers. Hammurabi's influence is still known today. The U.S. House of Representatives and the Supreme Court both feature small relief statues of him. The Joseon dynasty, which ruled Korea from 1392 to 1897, is renowned for its refined ceramics. One of the most beautiful and famous designs is called a moon jar. These distinctive vessels, named for their resemblance to the full moon, are characterized by their large, rounded forms and milky white glaze. Moon jars were primarily made during the 17th and 18th centuries, and their simple, almost minimalistic aesthetic reflects the Confucian ideals of purity and austerity that dominated the period. The jars are typically crafted from porcelain, although sometimes feature a more rustic stoneware base. Their subtle imperfections in the shape and glaze are considered part of their beauty, emphasizing naturalness and spontaneity over an idea of more precise symmetry and uniformity. The Metropolitan Museum of Art houses some exquisite examples of Joseon dynasty moon jars, which highlight the artistry and craftsmanship of the time. One particularly notable piece, seen on the screen here, dates from the second half of the 18th century. Standing at over 18 inches tall, this jar is an impressive example of the form, showcasing a smooth, rounded surface that gently tapers towards the base. The jar's glaze is soft and creamy white with subtle hints of blue and iron speckles, which add dimension and texture to the surface. This particular jar is made from two halves that are joined at the middle, a common technique for making large moon jars, which give it a subtle, almost imperceptible seam that enhances its organic form. In addition to their aesthetic and cultural significance, the moon jars in the Met's collection also highlight the technical skill and ingenuity of Joseon potters. The process of creating these large rounded vessels required a high degree of expertise, particularly in controlling the kiln's temperatures to achieve the desired glaze effect. The potter's ability to produce such uniform, harmonious forms from a challenging medium like clay speaks to the mastery of ceramic techniques. As objects of both functional and artistic value, the moon jars continue to captivate viewers with their serene beauty and historical importance. The seated scribe is one of the most famous and remarkable sculptures from ancient Egypt. This painted limestone statue dates back to the Old Kingdom period, specifically the 5th dynasty, around 2450 to 2325 BCE. It offers an insight into the role and status of scribes in ancient Egypt, and its realism and tension make it a masterpiece. I find him particularly charming, and I absolutely love him. This statue depicts a scribe who's seated cross-legged and holds a partially unrolled papyrus scroll on his lap. He's poised with the stylus in his right hand, ready to write. The scribe's eyes are inlaid with crystal, copper, and magnesium, giving them a lifelike appearance which draws viewers into his gaze. This careful detailing conveys a sense of intelligence and wisdom, which shows that his status as a scribe is well-deserved. The figure's body is fleshy, indicating a well-nourished, prosperous individual. He had the money to buy food. His bare chest and slight sagging of his torso indicates middle age, which is something that we don't see typically in a pharaoh. I like that he's also a little bit chubby, showing that he was indeed well-fed in his position. In ancient Egypt, scribes held significant positions in the court. They were among the few literate individuals, and they had an essential role in the administration of the state. Their ability to read and write in hieroglyphs placed them in a unique role as record keepers, tax collectors, and communications facilitators between different parts of the royal court. The seated scribe therefore represents not only a specific important individual, but an important aspect of life in ancient Egypt. In conclusion, the seated scribe is not just a representation of that individual, but it's a broader symbol of the importance of knowledge, literacy, and administration that allowed the Egyptian culture to thrive for thousands of years. Its realism, artistic finesse, and cultural significance make it a perfect addition to the top 100 list. The final piece of this video is the Bayeux Tapestry. It's one of the most significant works in medieval history, both for its narrative content and its artistic craftsmanship. The tapestry was created in the 11th century, likely between 1070 and 1080, and it tells the story of the Norman conquest of England. The campaign culminated in the Battle of Hastings in 1066 and was fought between William of Normandy, also called the Conqueror, and the Anglo-Saxon king Harold Godwinson. Through 58 scenes, embroidered on a nearly 70-meter or 230-foot long linen cloth, it illustrates crucial events like Harold Godwinson's journey to Normandy, the death of Edward the Confessor, Harold's coronation, and the famous Battle of Hastings. Each scene is carefully crafted to show the events, creating a unique visual and historical record from this major turning point in the medieval period. Some historians argue that the tapestry served as a piece of political propaganda because it was commissioned by Bishop Otto of Bayeux, who just happened to be William the Conqueror's half-brother. The depiction of Harold as an oath-breaker who unjustly claimed the English throne justified William's invasion. Thus, the tapestry is an artifact that reinforces Norman legitimacy over England, showcasing how art can be used to solidify power narratives. Additionally, besides enforcing the political narrative, the Bayeux Tapestry provides an excellent record of detailed representation of medieval weaponry and tactics used in battle. The tapestry's embroidery is done in a simplified, flat style typical of Romanesque, with little attempt to create depth or realism. Instead, the figures are stylized and the scenes are arranged in a linear progression. I like to think of it as a medieval version of a comic book. The use of color, too, is symbolic rather than naturalistic, with bold contrasts between figures, garments, and backgrounds. The simplistic style made it legible to viewers in the medieval period, and it's a magnificent example of narrative tapestry. These 5 works are just the beginning of our major countdown here at Accessible Art History. What do you think about my choices? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments below.